What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 20 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Mannfred von Carstein Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, once again an episode with tons and tons of battles, culminating in Wilhelm of the Grim Banquet giving an embarrassing defeat to Gorbad Ironclaw. The Ironclaw orcs are pretty much done for, with only 3 territories remaining in their main and only stack now gone, and we should be able to wipe them out rather shortly, as soon as we get down here to Galbaraz, which we've been waiting for to do for a fair bit. Admittedly, though, it's probably a good thing that we waited, because now that it's tier 4, we are able to capture it at tier 3 and thereby either immediately build or keep the ruins of Morcane rather than having to tech up all the way to it as we had to do in other places. Anyway, in terms of what we got to do this time around, well, there's several things. As promised at the end of last episode, we still want to pop the Skull Staff battle for Kemmler. Now that we've reached 2 turns remaining on Confederation, we want to get the plus 25 control that it offers us for 2 turns to counteract the negative control of the Confederation. Gotta watch out and gotta remember that an SFO negative control can be really, really bad, especially if it reaches the final level, not even ignoring the upkeep increase and the income from all province buildings reductions. At the last level, control faction-wide from low control is -1 per province with low control, so you can essentially have a cascading effect where if a few provinces reach it, it forces other provinces to reach it, and then your whole empire to collapse. So it's kind of like a mechanic that sort of prevents you from over-expanding, so you do have to be careful about your infrastructure in order to allow you to do so. Anyway, the other stuff I did between the episodes, I decided to... where are we here? I decided to summon a couple more units, Blood Knights and Blood Dragon Warriors, as well as a Mortis Engine for Vlad. It's not 100% sure that we're going to keep the Mortis Engine for Vlad, but since we're all the way over here, we can actually probably deliver him the units this way, which is why I decided to start moving Vlad towards Grom Peak. Do have to watch out for Ungrim Ironfist's presence here, because that's a pretty tough army, especially with the buffs that he gives to Slayers, 76 melee attack, and Unbreakable. Certainly something to watch for. But of course, after Vlad gets his units, or possibly even before, he will go to try to save the Empire from chaos. It's not like Mannfred's gonna be the one doing that, so yeah. Anyway, let's get started, and this thing that we will start is the Skull Staff. Alright, let's give this... Another Bretonnian enemy, huh? I envision this is probably then going to be another easy quest, but anyway. The Abbey at La Maison Tal in northern Bretonnia has long held Heinrich Kemmler's interest. It is a major center of worship for the nature god Tal, and is therefore worthy of destruction in Kemmler's eyes. More significantly, it serves as a repository for several powerful artifacts. Unfortunately, the Abbey is well defended by the forces of the local duke, meaning that any straightforward attack upon it would prove costly. Fortunately, the Lich Master has put into motion a plan of pleasingly wicked deviousness. Alrighty, and I just realized something. We are a tiny bit short of the necessary cash in order to teleport. Is there something we could cancel somewhere? Okay, not you. Something that we just started. It's just a, yeah, there we go. Cursed Fields, goodbye. We'll get it back up and running if I remember after the battle. Kemmler, let's level up for this just in case. I'm not 100% sure it's necessary, but no, why risk it? Magical Animus for you. We'll still probably want Waking Dead and... yeah. And let's see. Dread Knights for those Hex Wraiths and Legion of the Dead for the Ghosties. Yes. Don't need Flying Horrors or Deadly Power unless I'm mistaken, and we'll get on Death Resurgent to max you out. Ooh, we are missing Thrall Master, but hopefully we can level up after the fight. And Necro, you're going to be the one casting here. So let's get Replenish Troops, Invocation of Nehek. I actually think that maybe we don't need technically another Necromancer in Kemmler's army, because it wouldn't be on a corpse cart generally, because once the spears are gone, because they won't be necessary because we'll have Graveguard spawning, then I'm not sure we'll need another Necro on a horse. Anyway, let's raise Dead Evasion. Let's go for Curse of Years maxed out and Wind of Death. May as well just get 2 points in all of the useful spells. Nothing here would buff up any of Kemmler's stuff, so we can ignore that. I guess we'll max out Dance Macabre, Raise Dead, and Wind of Death. Well, let's get your Grave Ward. If nothing else, we'll still probably pop you into another army, even if we remove you from chems, so that'll be just fine. We can move towards Ghoulish tendencies as well as Onslaught, I guess. So start with Onslaught, buff up the weapon strength of our units when attacking. As for the White Kings, you guys have leveled a little bit as well. Probably not so much that it matters all that much. Just get you Esteemed Combatants and start moving through Imbued Offerings. And gotta get that extra melee defense up and running. Should probably max out their damage as well when we get to it. Ooh, Legion of the Damned for you, sir. And then go into Memories of War. You don't need Loyalty Neverending because we won't have a Graveguard in this army. Should probably focus Flow of Battle first, though, so let's get you Hard to Hit next. And then I guess the same thing for you, sir. Hard to Hit. And Legion of the Damned, of course, and I believe, let's see, where did I put the other point? Do you have an extra level that the other guy didn't? Maybe you do. And Deadly Blade as well. Alright, looks good to me. Skull Staff, it's time to pop on in. Let's get that Skull Staff for Chem. Ooh, just out of curiosity. Do his quest items have a set bonus? They do. Control +1 all provinces. Nice. Alright, another +1 control. We're really gonna need it. Teleport, and... Alright, let's see if Kemmler's gonna be all sassy again. I absolutely loved his first speech. He, he's a sassy guy. Fight battle.
Glorious! It has been such fun watching the Empire and Bretonnians rip each other apart, supplying me with fresh stock as they do. Oh, the irony! But while pulling their strings, working them like puppets has been immensely satisfying. It is now time for direct intervention. This abbey, this altar of Tal is my desire. The skull staff within calls to me, and I would have it. Let the chittering hordes come and claim their warpstone if they must. For me, the true prize is that wand of dark magic. With it, the legend of the Lich Master will only grow. My legions advance. Bring me bone, bring me flesh, but do not bring me these things back alive. Advance. Bring me bone.
Alrighty, sassy enough for our purposes, I think, and hopefully we will be entertained by these fools facing off against each other. Imperial allies, or mercenaries, or whatever these guys are supposed to be. We'll head directly towards the Bretonnians. Now, the Bretonnians this time do have some decent units in the form of the Knights of the Realm, as well as that unit of Grail Knights, who I'm interested to see how they will perform against probably our White Kings. We really don't want these guys charging into our ghostly units with all their charge damage, 116 charge bonus, and massive melee attack and defense. It's gonna be iffy. Anyway, we're gonna allow the Imperials to charge forth. Gonna have a little bit of a shootout between the crossbows and the longbows here, the peasant bows, as the basic swords and pikes and whatnot charge towards the Bretonnian men-at-arms. So it looks like the polearms at least are having a very bad day against those crossbows. And there we go, a little bit of, well, we do use mortal levies after all. A little bit of glamour here, a little bit of glamour there, and these guys are doing our bidding. Anyway, while they do, we have our hidden units of Spirit Coasts and Cairn Wraiths waiting behind them. I'm just gonna allow the Imperials to absorb some hits from the Bretonnians before heading on in. Frankly, it's probably not super necessary, but it is amusing, and that's why we'll do it. The odd thing about this is it seems that the Bretonnian AI and the Imperial AI both had the same color scheme, which is kind of a strange choice. But all good. Anyway, with the Imperials broken, we were, with us having been detected, we will charge on through. We are heading our now very slow-moving White Kings, 61 move speed because of that cold iron armor they have that reduces their speed, plus whatever else is reducing their speed. We'll attempt to get towards those Grail Knights, who with 85 speed are much faster, but hopefully it shouldn't be a concern. Our Hex Wraiths are heading in on the right flank, charging right into those men-at-arms. Very, very nice, and bowling pretty much all of them over, polearm or no. And then our third unit of Hex Wraiths smashing into those units of Knights of the Realm. With our armor piercing, this should be a fairly decent matchup for us. Without Grail Knights or Grail Guardians to call upon, the Knights of the Realm suffer about, well, let's say we trade about 20% of our HP, and for about 40% of theirs, they're actually doing pretty well for themselves. Their weapon strength has certainly been buffed up. Quest Battle gives them an extra 23, and difficulty modifier gives them an extra 7. Not too bad at all. An extra, what, like 75% damage on them? Pretty solid. Anyway, the Grail Knights are still standing still, but that works for us as we hit our White Kings and now summon Krell on the field to get ready to fight them. And we'll move directly towards them while we continue fighting the various men-at-arms and such. And now I look away for 1 second, and the unit of Grail Knights does charge our White Kings, who immediately get surrounded. Surrounded but not banished, and it looks like the Grail Knights will charge on through, thinking this is a time for cycle charging. But I just don't think it is. Krell will go in and, with his first blow, take down one of the enemy grounds. 2 blows, 2 Grail Knights. Not bad. Krell. Not bad at all. I mean, it shouldn't be unexpected, but I'm impressed. Third blow also manages to bring one down. Very good. There are 32 Grail Knights in it, although, damn, they have managed to do decent damage to Krell as well, taking about 30% of his HP in the time that he manages to kill all 3 of them. The other White Kings are unfortunately surrounded, but hopefully they can clear their way fast enough to help Krell out against the Grail Knights. In the meantime, the rest of the enemy army is in much worse shape. All of the peasants are being completely overrun by whichever ghostly unit they have come in contact with. Gotta be a pretty haunted woods at this point, with all those Cairn Wraiths and spirit hosts running around with them. And of course, any enemy unit that tries to fight will get ripped apart by the Hex Wraiths, who against mounted yeomen is also a pretty darn terrible matchup for the enemy. Alright, a couple more hits into these yeomen, and they are shaken. It looks like the bounce power is at about 90% in our favor now, and we continue fighting the Grail Knights, with the White Kings now joining Krell to help out. And now they're still trying a little bit of cycle charging, but we are trying to keep them in position while the White Kings duel them. Gotta watch out for all that magical and armor-piercing damage, but we do have the numbers, and Krell keeps bonking away at them. What speed is Krell at? 31. I wonder what speed the White Kings would be at if we put them on foot with that cold iron armor, slowing them down. Not that we'd be in a hurry, generally speaking. And, Krell misses his bonk as the, looks like the Grail Knights are trying to avoid him, charging on through and going after the White Kings, thinking that they're a little bit more fragile than Krell, though frankly, considering they were able to dish out about 30% of Krell's damage on the charge before, they probably were better off attempting to surround him. Yeah, he's down to 40% HP. Granted, I haven't healed him in this entire fight just because I was curious as to how that would go. Anyway, just a tiny sliver of balance of power remains, maybe, I don't know, 2% or so. Pretty much only the Grail Knights fighting at this point, but they were the only real threat in this army, and thus it was their show. Certainly, they are fighting admirably against 4 heroes, or 3 heroes led by Krell. But alas, they will fight no longer. One last Grail Knight brought down by the White King, and these guys, I lied. I thought they ran away shattered, but they really like their cycle charging, I guess. They've been joined by their Lord now, and Lord and several of the Grail Knights focusing down one of our White Kings, who's down to about half HP now, and we'll have to be careful, as that is potentially a lot of damage coming in. Alright, and honestly at this point the entire enemy army has been shattered and we're just chasing them around with ghosts, and we could absolutely have sent in all of our ghosts, our hex rates, to help with all of this, but I thought it was a pretty neat matchup. Too bad we didn't have any Blood Knights here as well. But hopefully we'll be able to send some Blood Knights against the Grail Knights or Guardians or Pegasus Knights under Lewin. At least that's the dream. Anyway, with that, the Grail Knights are broken and shattered at last, escaping with 6 units, and only the enemy Lord remains, who is not unbreakable, but impressively is still fighting. I'd wager probably won't be doing so for long against Krell and his White Kings, however. And it's just a matter of time until, there we go, he breaks and the battle is ours. Getting a little bit of those heals up and running now. Engelbert unfortunately got severely damaged, tanking hits from those elites, but pretty fun. Alrighty, appreciate the sass from Kemmler there, and I really enjoyed those Grail Knights. Gotta be impressed with them, right? They were fighting Krell and 3 White Kings for the entirety of the battle, and it took a long time for our Whites to cut through them. Pretty darn impressive. Of course, our Ghosties overran the rest of the enemy army with little trouble, even without the help of the Skeleton Spears or the Grave Guard, or frankly our useless Imperial allies, and it was up to the White Kings to deal with the threat of the enemy Graveguard. We got fairly little money as our reward, so I think we'll just heal to full since this White King is severely damaged now. Very nice, and ooh, 323 kills on these Cairn Wraiths, damn. That's pretty nice. Okay, you get a name for that. That's the 2nd unit of Cairn Wraiths. Okay, you've earned it. Okay, free Mortal Informer, free Student that we don't care, and there we go, Skull Staff. Ooh, the reduction to Van Hell's Downs Macabre is quite nice, if nothing else. And I think that Insight thing is a unique Kemmler thing that we don't get access to, because we confederated him, but, well, that's a reason to one day play Chem. What was I going to do? Ah, yes, okay, that was this unit of Cairn Wraiths. Massive amount of kills compared to everybody else, so you can have Restless Souls as your name. Oh, lovely. I love it when the units earn their names. It always makes me happy. I got some levels in here, but I don't think it's super critical. Next up, we are now at 15 Blood Kisses, which is lovely. And I guess in terms of the value out of these two, I would like to build a Strigoi. In fact, wait, okay, 2 things. We'll do Necroc first because the Face of Death is a much more useful ability, giving us the ability for all armies to summon zombies on top of stuff as needed. Only 3 times, but it's insanely useful. And of course, Winds of Magic Power Reserve +5 per turn for all armies. A little bit less reliance on all that channeling. So we'll awaken the Necroc Lord, and then leave, of course, the last Lord to be the Strigoi. Now, speaking of Strigoi, I was intending to generate another army. Unfortunately, until we unlock the Strigoi bloodline, we'll have to use the Strigoi Ghoul King for it. So let's take you, Mr. Brandon Gagnier, and we'll just replace him with the Strigoi bloodline afterwards. We'll pop him into Waldenhof, and we will start recruiting. What are we recruiting? For those of you that watched my Aranessa Saltspite campaign back in the day, you may remember that one of my favorite armies was the army of bombers, or not bombers, bombers and animated hulks. And I've been meaning to do the same sort of type of army, and this, but with crypt horrors as well, just to pay a little bit of tribute to that campaign. Plus, it was a really fun army. So we'll start on those. Probably going to get a couple more bomber units in here, and then fill it up with crypt horrors to be led by a Strigoi, which makes the most sense to me. In addition to that, I mean, like I said, I have like a dozen, well, not a dozen, but at least half a dozen other army compositions I want to try, and there is another one that I've been thinking about. And that is a fire damage army. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ruinous, you unreasonably handsome madman. How are you going to do that with a? How are you going to do that with the vampires? They don't really have any fire damage, and more importantly, they don't have any way to apply fire weakness. Well, there's two things that we have. Corpse guards with balefire are essentially discounted because you need too many of them to apply fire damage to sufficient numbers of your army, and we do have the White Kings that do give us fire damage specifically for Graveguard, which gives us a main line. Then, because we now have the Cathans as one of our vassals, what we can do is we can make use of the Jade Lions in order to provide that much needed flammable debuff in their attacks. Put 4 of them, at least 4 to 6 of them in an army, and then bam, suddenly you have fire weakness being applied to enemies and making your fire army viable. Plus, unlike Cairn Wraiths, Hex Wraiths do fire magical damage, so they can act as the cavalry of that particular army and do fire damage as well. And there you go. Hex Wraiths, Hex Wraiths, Graveguard, and Jade Lions, and you have yourself a nice fire damage dealing army. A little bit sad I got rid of all those Rods of Flaming Death now, but frankly, they'd still be too much of a threat to our own units. I think it'll be quite nice. Just got to get it on field once we're done here. Our money is dropping once again. Anyway, anything else that we need to do in this particular turn? I mean, if there is, I've forgotten about it, so I think we could just end the turn. So, Lord not moved, Garrison Lord, unassigned skill points, building upgrades, Siege, that's Vlad, but he... Huh. You have Siege Attacker, right? We could actually... Well, you know what? Let's leave that here. Let's leave that here. I have an idea. We use this as bait. Who knows? Ungrim might come this way. I don't think he can reach us outside of either March Stance or... possibly... Or possibly tunneling. But we should give it a shot. Anyway, yeah, we'll try to bait him out. Let's just leave Vlad there instead of attacking immediately and turn, unless I'm mistaken. Well, let's see what we go. I don't know. Anyway, I can't think straight, but while the turn is ending once again, we are just hovering on the very edge of the engagement threshold here, so we'll still do the long episodes, but do keep it in mind. 300 likes and 50 comments, and the streak of hour-long-ish episodes will continue. And aha! So Ungrim does follow. I don't know if he's in underway stance or whether he's in march stance, but we saw he couldn't reach us in regular stance, but this works out. I'm now thinking that this may have been a terrible idea. I forgot that Vlad's army is incomplete, and I am now kind of concerned. Wait, should I not have done this? This is a lot of dwarfs, a lot of super buffed slayers, including the tier 5 grudge settler slayers, tier 5 longbeards, grudge settlers, tier 5 quarrelers with great weapons, grudge settlers. All of them have either unbreakable or insane leadership, tons of armor. We got zombies and dogs and bats. Well, what are you gonna do? Go. Alright, here we go. Looks like we're in a very dark map, but, well, at least Blood Drinker is one of those very bright weapons, and we can see Vlad essentially under a spotlight with his sword. And actually makes it a pretty cool shot when he's in the dark like this. Anyway, here we go. I genuinely don't know whether we can pull this off. I'm not entirely sure how this battle will go, so we shall have to see. Fortunately, we do have one major advantage. The big advantage of Vlad is that he gives Vanguard deployment to his entire army, meaning we got these zombies, our Blood Knights, our Vargulfs, pretty much all things except the flyers and the crossbows, deployed behind the first enemy army. The goal, of course, will be to try to destroy the enemy army before Ungrim leads all those slayers to the fight, and we're probably unable to hold all of them. So, we'll see if we can manage to pull it off. Zombies being summoned on top of the enemy range units as we charge on in with these zombies. Once again, the Vanguard deploying them directly behind the enemy army means they don't have to travel far, so we don't have to worry about their considerably slow speed in getting to the combat. Vargeists have arrived together with the dire wolves and bats, dropping upon whatever enemy range units they can find. And our Blood Knights have engaged the enemy Troll Hammer torpedoes, because we can't be having those guys firing away at us. We've also got a solid amount of damage coming in on the flanks as the direwolves smash into those corridors and rip them apart together with the zombies, shockingly quickly. Quite impressed with the doggos, but we do have a lot of buffs on them. Same thing is happening here, except with a little bit of help from the Vargeists and the Vargolfs. Huh. And I do like that the doggos, unlike the bats, have the glowing eyes really visible on them, meaning even in dark maps you can spot their eyes like the zombies glinting in the darkness. Anyway, here we have trapped a unit of Longbeards between a pile of zombies and the Blood Knights and the Vargeists, though it looks like we won't get an opportunity to do this for much longer, as 20 seconds until Grom arrives on the field. Well, Vlad has defeated the enemy, I want to say Thane here, because it is a defensive garrison that's attacking us first. There we go. And with the Thane fallen, most of his army is done. Looks like one of the units of Iron Drakes with Troll Hammers is still around, and Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons and Longbeards are moving away from us, unfortunately in the direction of the enemy reinforcements, which means we won't be able to chase them down. Speaking of chasing things down, though, all the units that shattered, we got a lot of fast movers on field, and so the doggos, the bats, and, well, anything we can spare, really, is going to chase units down and attempt to make sure that they are shattered for sure, and ideally destroyed. And the zombies are piling up once more, trying to sort of reform and get that formation back up and running as the Slayers have arrived, and they have arrived in great numbers. Gonna start taking shots from the enemy Slayer pirates, and there's other stuff in here. Quarrelers, more Troll Hammers, and we definitely have to watch out for those. The Vargeists in particular are extremely fragile, and a couple of volleys from Troll Hammers will obliterate them. Fortunately, our zombies have all those buffs since we have Mr. Gorsty's buffs, and they should be able to hold back the Slayers at least for a little while. And frankly, holding them back in a nice line like this will mean Emmanuel Posner, our Shadow Vampirus, will be able to get a very nice penumbral pendulum through the blob of Slayers and take off a solid amount of HP, about half HP from 3 of the enemy units. Vlad, in the meantime, is closing with Garagrim Iron Fist, who is technically dead, but, well, we're kind of in a weird timeline, so I guess he's alive here. But he won't be alive for long, as he is double-teamed by both Vlad and Isabella. Though I think to defeat Garagrim only Vlad is sufficient. I don't know if Vlad can take Ungrim, at least while Vlad doesn't have any points invested in his fighting line, because Ungrim is a devastating fighter. As for those who watch the Skulltaker campaign saw with Skulltaker, Ungrim was incredibly scary. And there we go, Vlad dropped down to maybe 30% of his HP, but we can activate the Potion of Healing and the Blood Chalice of Bathory and get him up to full HP in no time. Rapid recovery, essentially. On the bright side, though, with all the enemy melee Slayers engaged in the main line, their rear lines are open for attack. Thunderers, Slayer Pirates, Longbeards, and Quarrelers now charged by Vargeists, hitting them in the back, zombies summoned upon them, and of course the doggos and the Blood Knights are running around and causing havoc. The Blood Knights over here together with the doggos, actually a very solid combination, are ripping those poor Thunderers apart like nobody's business. And you got to love the speed buffs on the doggos. They run around. Look at them run around with 181 speed. It's freaking crazy. They're probably not actually moving at 181 speed, as I imagine that there's probably an animation limitation to how fast they can move, as most units have an animation limitation. Same thing with reload. You can only reload so fast, or you can only fire so fast, I guess. But anyway, Balance of power has actually shifted in our favor. The enemy runesmith is about half HP as Emmanuel Posner and Isabella go after him. They have both had to move away as Ungrim is hitting pretty darn hard. And besides, the runesmith is probably the critical target here. Of course, while the balance of power has shifted to our favor, that doesn't mean the battle is anywhere near over, because nearly the entirety of the enemy army will be fighting to the death. They've sought their doom here. In fact, it looks like they underwayed to it or march stands to it. I don't know how they got to us, but they found it. Zombies are still fighting, and Vlad is just about full HP and soon ready to take on Ungrim once again. And let's see, we've used about 30% of our ammunition on our crossbows. They've, let's see, a little bit of damage. Oh, actually not too bad. Not a lot of armor on those slayers, of course, so the crossbows are doing pretty okay. Vlad heads right back on in, summons another unit of zombies on top of those dwarfen units, and the fight yet continues. And as long as these zombies are tar-pitting those slayers, not doing a lot of damage perhaps, but probably some trickle damage, it does mean we can repeatedly cycle charge with Vargulfs, with Blood Knights, and with Vargeists as well. Vlad has closed the distance with Ungrim now, and this will be the deciding factor of the battle. But Ungrim hits it damn hard, even if you can't really see him doing so very well. I do wish you could zoom in just a tiny bit more, because it would be nice to see this from sort of below the battlefield. Anyway, Vlad is still pretty okay. Ungrim is down to about 60% of his HP. But the enfeebling foe is probably hurting him a fair bit. And enfeebling foe combined with his own ability and basically dropping his melee defense down to 0. Interesting. And that's a pretty nasty combination when Ungrim pops that. Totally did that on purpose. Yes, took advantage of that to pop the enfeebling foe at the same time. Not a coincidence at all. Anyway, the two continue exchanging blows, but the number of slayers available on field are slowly but surely running out. Vlad's going to back off a little bit to get himself a little bit of healing going, and then charge back in. Though he's gonna miss that blow with Blood Drinker, but we'll turn once again. Ooh, don't turn your back on Ungrim, man. That's a bad idea. Respect where it's due. Alrighty, Doggo's charging in, which means, by the looks of it, the enemy backline has completely collapsed now, and only the slayers around Ungrim remains. Isabella has arrived as well, and will be working on Ungrim together with Vlad, who will do a little bit of cycle charging, which we can do with him being able to run pretty fast. Back off, cast a spell, and charge back on in, and the two will be able to take down Ungrim together. Hey, Vargeist, don't interfere. And there we go, looks like Vlad delivers the last blow, and Ungrim goes down at last to a backhand with a Blood Drinker. Only a few units of Slayer Pirates remain, and by the looks of it, the battle heroically is Vlad's. Very, very nice. That, well, that went surprisingly well. It looks like the Vanguard deployment really allowed us to cut the enemy army in half, and thereby carry the day despite the just horrendous difference in troop quality. I can't believe we pulled that off with zombies and doggos and bats. Love it. Alrighty, there we go. What a battle for Vlad's debut here. Definitely one of the harder fights we've fought in this entire campaign, but Vlad still manages to get a heroic victory, and with the tag team of him and Izzy beat down Ungrim Iron Fist, who's one of the toughest sort of single foot lords in the game. Very difficult to kill, does insane amounts of damage, etc., etc. But Daddy is back at last, and, well, I imagine Ingram will be able to recover it because he does have a lot of slayers, but we shall see. Anyway, we will... I guess we're still besieging, so we can we're probably better to dominate the captives. Granted, there's only zombies that are hurt, but yeah. I was also quite impressed with the dire wolves. We do buff them up considerably in Isabella's army, and we can see the damage is there. 18k, 21k, 21k, and the bats didn't do nearly as much. Now, granted, the bats didn't have good targets in this particular battle because they're too fragile and have less HP than the doggos, even with their recovery. But it's not like they can fight, you know, quarrelers on par with the doggos. Maybe we take the bats out of this army, leave the Vargeists, and use the doggos. There's so many cool things you could do with Vlad and Isabella's army. Since they buff so many things, it always feels like there's never enough space in it, but what can you do? And you gotta keep them together. Yeah, dominate those captives. What a fight. Beautiful. Alright, let's see what we got here. Warherd, Wargrove? Drake is going to... I don't know, he's going to attack another one of our minor settlements. Yeah, but we have the lower level of walls here, and we've essentially already won this before. I mean, like, it's kind of not worth it. The last time they attacked us, so the battle result was at least in their favor, and this is very much not, and we just obliterate them, and don't bother. Don't bother. Waste of our time. Sorry, Draca. Let's go for return captives. Alright, Gutstabber, you will declare war on us. Dave snatches. I guess they've finally grown sufficiently annoyed at us constantly stealing their tech. In order to attack us, and they're gonna try the same thing with a tiny little stack. Don't bother. What is this? But ooh. Okay, I should have expected that. I was going to declare war on Black Buckthorn myself. Now that's a battle worth fighting. Pyrrhic victory, casualties high, Iron Breakers, Giant Slayers, Iron Drakes, Hammerers, Organ Guns. We will probably never face off against a more elite and dwarven army than this. And we don't have nearly as much armor-piercing damage as we would like on our main line. This should be a really interesting one. I'm excited. This is why we sent this army here, specifically to fight these guys. Go.
Death to all.
Alright, here we go. I am so excited for this battle. An endgame dwarf stack under the Bleak Coast Buccaneers for our Skelly boys to try to deal with. We'll see how well they can as we go. The Scythes of the Spellbreakers won't have too much, well, casting to oppose, as they're anti-caster sort of units with that spell-stealing aura of theirs. But, well, let's hope that they can fight on par with at least some of the enemy units. I see that their armor's at 55. I wonder if we should maybe countenance putting a war drum in here. An extra 25 armor on the Necrarch Bloodline units could power them up fairly significantly and allow them to hold them the line a little bit better, while our Bone Giants do the damage. And speaking of Bone Giants, they take aim and loose those gigantic arrows of theirs, firing first into the ranks of enemy dwarfs. The tight formations of the Iron Breakers not going to lend themselves too well to avoiding shots from those great bows. There we go. I wonder how many of those get knocked out with every shot like that. Not too many. Looks like 4 to 5 units per shot, but, well, we can plink away at them for a while. At least some of them. At last, the enemy artillery moves into range, and one great thing about the Bone Giants is they're highly accurate, meaning every shot, in theory, should destroy an artillery piece, which means we should easily win an artillery shootout against the enemy organ guns. And similar to the reason that I want the What I don't like is that the Bone Giants seem to both fire at the same artillery piece. They don't spread their shots, so if you have two aiming at the same artillery piece, they'll waste fire, meaning what we'll do is we'll switch their fire with one firing at artillery and then one back at the main line. Of course, we could have just sent the Morngulls instead to deal with this, but I wanted to see how well the Bone Giants deal with the organ guns, which, by the looks of it, is pretty darn well. Anyway, I was saying, they also have the major advantage. I love it when a single shot takes out an artillery piece like that. They also have the major advantage of being able to fire over the heads of our units, which is a big reason as to why I really wanted to get the Necrofex Colossi in our other army. Anyway, I think the Bone Giants have shown that they'll have no problem obliterating the enemy artillery. This one's down to 1, and the Morngulls need to close with the enemy range units who have started firing, so we'll leave them to take care of what remains of the artillery crew while the enemy closes the distance. Our Spellbreakers are ready to fight the enemy main line, and we are going to move a few ghouls through their, or Morngulls rather, through their formation, specifically at the enemy Ironbreakers. The reason for this is that the blasting charges are very threatening to us, and will charge forth to essentially distract the enemy and prevent them from firing those blasting charges off. Really got to be careful here as the enemy do hit the Morngulls here with the Iron Drakes, the Flamethrowers, and the Giant Slayers are rapidly taking about 30% of the HP off this unit of Morngulls. They're going to have to back off or they'll get destroyed. That said, the other Morngulls have been getting ready to flank the enemy, and they're heading directly for those Thunderers and whatever other range units remain, including another unit of Iron Drakes back there. Our Lord continues flying up above and supporting the entire stack, essentially. But he's a Necrarch, and, well, this is what we're using him for. I gotta back away those Morngulls. They're getting keels now, but we still don't want them fighting directly like this. And hopefully they can hide behind the scythes of the Spellbreakers. Alright, hold back those Slayers and keep getting those heals. We've got the Lord in the midst of our unit of Konigstein Stalkers, which got decent armor piercing, so they could probably hold the line for a decent bit. Even as they are taking hits from the enemy Hammerers, so we do have to be a little bit wary of that. Kind of an interesting matchup there. Alright, now our Bone Giants are causing absolute havoc. They've destroyed this unit of Longbeards and this unit of Thunderers by the looks of it, though one of the unfortunate aspects of them is that soon they won't have anything to fire at except things that are running away. But essentially, they're artillery monsters, so that's what you expect. Morngulls continue doing good work back here. They did basically destroy this unit of Ironbreakers, which without the damage dealers of the Slayers or Hammerers were unable to hold them back. Unlike the right flank. Enemy did flank us a little bit with another unit of Slayers, but with the Morngulls and the units of Skelly Boys that we kept in reserve, the regular Skeleton Spears, they are now able to take the hits, which is especially needed because the Spellbreaker unit is quite badly beat up, down to 40% of its HP and half of its unit count, and is in need of those heals, which is why I like to keep a few units in reserve in this particular army. It can allow us to move towards where they're needed and to protect the Bone Giants if they get charged. Yeah, fun battle. Anyway, looks like, fun or not, this battle is nearly ours. Of course, these Slayers will continue fighting, but the enemy line is collapsing. Their range units have all been destroyed, either by Morngulls or by the Bone Giants. This army's working well. It's working quite well. I'm happy with it. Alright, and it looks like with that, the enemy army is done for. We've still got the giant and regular Slayers, but the rest of them have shattered. And, frankly, the units that are not shattering, or the units that are still alive, are doing us a little bit of a favor, as it gives us extra time to heal up those units that lost units. Erase those dead and get them back up and running. Obviously not the regular skeletons, but any of the damaged Morngulls or Spellbreakers. We want them at full HP in case we have to fight again. Alright, gonna take the regular skellies a long time to work through those Slayers. But that's fine, we're healing up our hurt unit, so it's not a big deal. And we're going to take out the regular Skelly Boys here are just placeholders for the Spellbreakers, so... Huh. Not just a war drum, but if we can get a Blooddrag Cauldron to buff this army up, this would work really well as well, because the Blooddrag Cauldron has a ranged attack and would work with those Bone Giants nicely. Anyway, it looks like the Mournguls got annoyed watching the regular Skellies fight those Slayers, and decided to deal with it themselves. Oh, I love the Mourngull animations. They are such a fun unit. It's really too bad that we don't have access to Mourngull Haunters, because they're such amazing heroes that are good against pretty much everything. But you know, you gotta leave some stuff to the Vampire Coast if you're keeping them as separate factions, I guess. Anyway, a lovely fight for Ludwig, and I'd say a proper debut for him now. Alright, very nice. I gotta say, I was pretty impressed with the performance of this army there. I expected them to do much worse, but fortunately the Bone Giants were quite nice, both at ripping apart the slow-moving Dwarven infantry, and their accuracy was quite impressive against the Organ Guns, who were unable to essentially do anything before, by and large, getting destroyed by them, even without directly rushing them with the Mournguls until they were pretty much destroyed. Anyway, the Spellbreakers were able to fight to some degree on par with the enemy. I guess it's a decent unit to fight things like Slayers, who are fairly light on armor and stuff like that. Between the bleed and the damage, looks like it certainly works against them. And of course, the Mournguls being absolute havocs in the back line and stuff. Granted, we did have to do a lot of cycle charging with the Mournguls, because they can't quite fight things like Hammers and Giant Slayers, but, well, we were able to heal them back up and cycle charge them to victory. A nice job to the Bone Giants, and with 17k kills, the Calcium Colossus takes the win there. Not 17k kills, 17k damage, although that was an impressive amount of kills. And by the looks of it, one of these Mournguls, an unnamed one, wins the day for them. I don't think we had any Spellbreaker suggestions, did we? Well, that's on you guys. Anyway, let's return the captives. We still need just ridiculous amounts of money. Everything's so expensive, please. We need to find the materials at some point. Alrighty, and what do we have here? It's the Lost Company of Bretonnian Knights to get, post-battle chance of stealing magic item and magic item drop chance plus 50% for all characters. That's a lot of potential extra items. The other option would be to do Let Them Wander. The ambush success chance and ambush defense chance is unfortunately useless for us, but if we go +1 and then do the -1 right next turn, we could get a, I think it was +60 growth faction-wide for 10 turns, which is a decent amount of growth, about 600. Granted, at tier 4, that's not even a single... not even a single buff, so... You know what, I think if this was anything, if this was not the ambush one, I would do this, but I think I wouldn't pass up 10 turns of extra item chances, even though the Revenant Host is also amazing. We already have one in both the armies that make use of Black Knights in significant numbers, and while this powers them up to a pretty insane degree, as they're very difficult to kill, then I don't think we're going to put them anywhere else. I haven't tried to see whether this works on hex rates, though. Hopefully it doesn't. And I say hopefully it doesn't because then it would be a waste to do Challenge Their Faith. Well, whatever. Challenge Their Faith for now. Alrighty, and besides, if we were to pop off a right, it would cost us 5 blood kisses right now, and we're only 6 away from our next bloodline. Trait gain, Slayer King Slayer for Vladi. Creator... Alright, everybody's gonna get traits and stuff. May kill in battle, and may kill in battle. Potion of Strength, Shield of Talos, Armor Fortune. Nice. Gravedigger, don't care. Settlement besieged Morgheim. By who? Really? It's just goblins. What are you doing? What are you doing? You should have stayed in Ekrund. You maniac. Ludwig von Deal has a zombie dragon now, but I kind of like him sort of flying around over the top of the battle and supporting. I'd like to think of him having either built or sort of co-opted, seized control of the Bone Giants from the Tomb Kings. Or who knows, he could have been in a Hekaarn. I'm gonna keep him on the Hellsteed. And there we go, you don't need a zombie dragon. Corpse cart, balefire for a recruiter. Good for a recruiter, I guess. Alright, so recruiters are leveling. Huh. Lots of recruiters leveling. Presumably because somebody who has level 40, I guess it's only Manny, is now transferring XP. Okay, well, fair enough. What are we doing in terms of techs right now? We're moving towards Delusions of Grandeur. All right, that still hasn't changed. Who is up next? All right, I guess we're doing stuff in order. We do have the Confed up and running, so we're actually immune to attrition, meaning we are free to move as far as we can through Vol tracks and towards these guys. Frederick, you are not in order. The whole damn system's out of order, but yeah, you can move to Skullcarver's abode, and there should be nothing there to bother with. Yeah, just auto-resolve that. Alrighty. And occupy. Shirt Assailant, enemy killed in battle, score roll of shielding. Bone Daddy has a Hell Steed and a Corpse Cart, but he's just a follower army. Although we do have to actually have him follow who he needs to follow. You switch to Repress Mortals for now, that we'll do growth later on. We'll probably never be collecting income here, so the gold mine is probably not going to be as useful as we'd like. We're still going to use these territories as capacities, but we'll deal with them later. Statutory Lich Sense. You've been trying to land here for a while, but you still have 10 turns, meaning you can try to wound somebody. 88% chance. Come on, get those blood kisses. Nice, nice. 7. Alright, we've nearly unlocked our last bloodline. Kadan is your... Yes, your blood drums? Your drums, regular drums. Nothing blood about them. Or is there? Keep the Corpse Cart with Balefire for now. I really wish the Corpse Carts with Balefire weren't only 4 units, otherwise I might actually build a few of them. 4 is not enough, it should be 6. Otherwise it's just not worth it. I'd rather put the Necromancers on Unholy Lodestones. But anyway, keep 1 for now. You're going to go here and you're going to grab those 2 drums. Like so and like so. And you can keep what you got. And then start moving back this way. And, oh, I guess you can lose one of the zombie units and then gain the second Necromancer, which I'm pretty sure is for you. Yes. Alright, and that should be sufficient with the drums now powering up. Ooh, this guy's building up some stuff. Maybe he'll actually sally out and fight these guys. Should be pretty interesting to see. We don't have a Mortis engine in this army, though, so we do have to be actually careful. It's supposed to travel with Bone Daddy's army for additional Zombo damage. I guess we could put a bunch of Corpse Carts with Balefire in his army and just reinforce with Corpse Carts with Balefire. There is that option. I kind of like that. Alright, we'll probably do that. But anyway, Wilmar of the Thousand Wings, you are healed up, and banning the Fabricator keeps avoiding you. Tremendously rudely, I might add. So start moving this way again. Just try to avoid these guys attacking one of our armies that is ambush prone. Alright, now, Undead Researcher. I would like you to find Crookback Mountain, but first of all, you're going to try to wound this Doom Engineer. I actually didn't check how much tech you had remaining. 6 turns. Alright, so you're still okay. Besides, the chance to scout ruins is always 100%, so you can't fail at that, so it's actually better to do it this way. Alright, Bathilda, you're supposed to move to Black Iron Mine. I was about to say we should check whether we have extra Mortis engines, which we do, but at the same time you probably should save some Mortis engines for some of the other armies, admittedly. So move this way. And occupy Black Iron Mine. Ooh, salt. That's faction-wide upkeep production once we get to... Really? Really? On the poor little skeleton spears? Goodbye, little skeleton spear. We hardly knew ye. Alright, occupy. Didn't get reforged today now. The dead didn't get erased, or the dead didn't rise again. Let's switch to repress mortals here for now. Anyway, what we want to do here is this. We want you, okay, Nozert, to take these things and trade them with Recruiter. And there we go. Then we want you to start moving this way because you're going to get your entire army. Oh, minus the bats, minus the bats. And the bats are supposed to go into a follower army. Oh, well actually, you know what? You actually have sufficient bats, don't you? I might have overdone it on these bats. Alright, fine. Give her the bats. You're going for Vargulfs and Doggos, and Recruiter has Fish and Bats, so yeah, you're good. Let us also... Okay, we don't have Fell Nest yet, or Mist Form, which is what we care about, but we're getting there. But for now, let's get Restless Dead. Alright, you're our Hound Master. We'll see how effective you are later. Ooh. You know what? Let's go March Stance for now. They gotta get to Gorsti and stuff. Hello. Oh, look at those little Goblin Laborer army. Do have a couple Lamasu and a Great Taurus in here. An Infernal Guard, but those poor little Goblin Laborers would get destroyed. Can't use your help until that plague is gone, though, so we'll deal with you later. Anyway, let's keep moving these guys. So Recruiter, you need to keep recruiting. Go figure. And other Recruiter, you're going to take the Blood Knights and the Blood Dragon Warriors and the Mortis Engine from you. And you, let's see, Awakened. No, not Awakened. Dreadfleet, maybe? Wait, who has more? You have more. Ah, but you don't have what we need. Okay, go to Dreadfleet. What we need here is you. Deck droppers with handguns. Get a couple of you going. Yes. Bats and deck droppers, some lanterns to help them out and buff them up from the sky. Should be pretty fun. As one of our follower armies. Oh, we'll need more vampires as well. All right, let's figure this out. You. Cold Iron Armor. Okay, wait. Damn it, so many things. First of all, Kemler, you need your final... Okay, can you reach Carrick Buftar? Okay, go to Carrick Buftar. Yes. Where's the other Banshee, incidentally? Lady Phantom Kiss, go... Ah, for the love of... Okay, don't auto-resolve it yet. 1 second. Get rid of the Corpse Guard with Unholy Lodestone's useless. Then a Lady Phantom Kiss, go here. Through Myrmidons, and then cross the ford. Like so. Oh, okay, fine, go that way. Okay, whatever. Then, Kemler, you will have the Soul Knife join your army. No. Well, okay, whatever. Well, I'll redo it later. Auto-resolve this. And occupy it. And don't collect income, because we'll be trading it. You can, well, I guess keep the wood for now, and maybe buff it up or level it. Maybe. Let's get the 4th and last Cold Iron Armor White King for this army. And yes, I know, we could have gotten whitely armored, but I don't see the need. I mean, I suppose the extra speed would have been nice, but these guys all summon Barrow Guardians anyway, which will work in place of our Skeleton Spears gear, which will be slow moving. I might even put them on foot, as I was thinking about doing before, to sort of be on foot together with Corel. His little command squad, which would be nice, while Kemler, you know, stays in the back, you know, making sassy comments at everybody, as one does. Anyway, Bloody Mary, keep going up here towards Skarsnik and Thorgrim. Wilhelm, not Wilmar, you're moving towards Mount Squighorn to take on the dwarfs, or to continue taking on the dwarfs. Otter's... Really? Alright, we're gonna take some damage here, but whatever, it's not a big deal. Occupy. Alright, a Sword of Might, Death Pass, good. It looks like, yeah, while we have this buff, every single battle is giving us an item, which will mean, I mean, granted, most of the items we've been fighting have been trash, but every single item will be another item that we can transform into another item. We're still hurting for items of various kinds. Bowman of Orion, you want to be peaceful, you want to be friends once again after betraying us earlier, and you really want to trade, ooh, but we have better options now, Nagarond. And Dark Elves, their aversion isn't nearly as bad to the undead. It's a little bit there, but it's, or the undead back to them, it's not as bad. They are currently somewhat friendly with the Legion of the Gore Queen, which I'm not super happy about. Lorelorn wants to be friends. Honestly, it looks like almost everybody wants to be friends, at least of the destruction factions. Which is funny, because undead aren't destruction, they're order. They're just not very nice about it. Northern Provinces wants to be friends again as well. You know what? If they stay alive, we could really use more Cathay and stuff. Their aversion will be bigger to the other undead, but maybe, just maybe, we can counteract it. Also, Nagron, just out of curiosity, yeah, no likelihood of us vassalizing you, eh? We're already at war with, What about you?
My sole interest is
Minus 69. If we declare war on Clanishan and the puppets, yeah, nowhere near there. nowhere near there. Let's do the trade agreement for now and see if... I really don't like that treaties with Awakened, Dreadfleet, and parts of Sartosa reduction thing. You know what? We'll keep it to 1 Cathan unit for now. Or actually, possibly 2. The Dissenter Lords of Jinshen, I think, don't hate the undead. Possibly. Great Orthodoxy will be a problem due to aversion. Obviously, Shadow Legion and other Chaos factions won't work with us. Let's do Nagaron for now. I don't know if we'll keep them around because they are a little bit weirdly friendly with Chaos, and they really shouldn't be because Dark Elves really don't like Chaos, but what can you do? Anyway, let's do this for now. Well, maybe with the non-aggression pact as well. And possibly try to be friends or vassals. We'll see how... Okay, I'm just actually curious. Let's see if we do this. Nothing about our allies, and they're giving us 1,000 gold per turn from that trade agreement, which ain't too bad. Bowman of Orion, your aversion to... Yeah, wait. Yeah, minus 50 aversion to the undead, unfortunately. Had to be too wary of this. Goldtooth, we're probably going to kill you, but we'll hold off on anything else. At least for now. If we get a few more vampires on the field, we'll get a little bit more public relation or friendly relations with everybody else, which is why I'm being careful about this. What we want to do here is this. We want to get you, Insatiable, Frenzy for Direwolves, to pump up the damage of those dire doggos in Vlad's army even further. So Insatiable for you. Then we'll have you join Vladdy's army. Then we will want... We'll be transferring one of the vamps. Oh, damn, I forgot. We have to transfer 2 vamps.
This better be important.
Okay. The vamp... It's... No, not Sharpened Fangs. Technically, both vamps will be transferred, but you Insatiable. Oh, you still have those glittering scales, eh? I mean, and keep it for now. If we can get another glittering scales, a couple more glittering scales, I'd really... there was a plan I sort of had with this army, with Gustav Grigorovich. We're doing negative aura stacking in this army. I don't know if I made that clear, but the Enfeeble attack is -5 on the Chilling Breeze. / the Spirit Hosts. And the Sirens provide a -10 on Charmed, so wherever they attack, it's a -15. Get another Glittering Scales on it, and that's a -20 melee attack for pretty much our entire battle line. And it's pretty darn significant, and there's probably other ways that we can pump up those numbers further. So, it'll be pretty interesting if we can get a few of those. Anyway, back to the vampire thing. I mean, we had a lot of battles. We got to do a little bit of admin. And Witherer. Okay, we got another Witherer available. I do believe I wanted another Necro for the Red Duke. So I guess what we'll do is we'll summon it, but we'll summon it up here closer to Aquitaine at Burian. Necromancer, Witherer, and I'll deal with his points application between the episodes. I assume that you're a Witherer as well, yes? Yeah. So these guys can maintain the battle line of the various Graveguard. And why does it always get you the wrong corpse cart? Please take the last one, not the... I don't know why they did it like, or made it like that. Castle Carcassonne, your turn. Out of it. Really? Really, this? Oh, they have a lot of big uns in Black Orcs, huh? You know what, that might actually... Tier 3, wait, does it starts at Tier 2, meaning it'll be a broken battle. Damn. Moderately increase the health of settlement, yeah, okay. So what we'll do is this, we'll reinforce with the Zombos, and that should prevent it from breaking. We'll auto-resolve it. I'd actually kind of like to fight it, but whatever, we'll save the Red Duke's fight for Lewin. There we go, now they won't die because of the reinforcements. Some of the zombies will die, but that's a sacrifice I think we're all willing to make. Occupy. Lovely, and a brass cleaver, and a sword of might. And benefit of having 2 armies, and it's a good reason to have follower armies, technically speaking, running around with you at all times, because you can use them to, you know what, speaking of follower army, get some corpse carts in here, with Unholy Lodestone. And you're otherwise good. Yeah, follower armies to collect additional items. I don't want to overdo it, otherwise, I mean, we can use cheap necromancers to follow other lords at all times, but it is a legitimate strategy. Steel Tech is an option, but I'm not going to do it right now, because I can do it between the episodes. Gustav Grigorovich and the Inevitable Death. So I see no lords or heroes here. And we'll hit the Sinhal Monolith. Somebody did ask me whether we could become friends with Oshiotla by gifting him the Southern Chaos Waste, and it can't happen. Now, the reason that it can't happen is the same reason I keep being so wishy-washy about whether we should ally with any particular faction, and the reason for that is because if we do, our vassals will begin to hate us, and due to the various aversions everything has to us and them to, frankly, each other. It's really annoying that they still hate us for allying with other Vampire Coast factions, but, well, what can you do? Any tier 5s coming in yet? Come on, guys, tier 5, please. I wish we could pump up their numbers somehow. They got to tier 4, but admittedly it does take a long time to grow to tier 5. See, most of the AIs won't be there. Ooh, Wallach, I forgot that you had a Skull Island. Hello, alright, we're doing that right now. You were gonna get Magical Animus. I haven't decided between Doom Rider and Grave Sentinels. I mean, neither one of them really matters for his Blood Dragon army, but it's Sundered Armor from Heart Piercing or Honor or Death. Generally speaking, if we keep him on foot or on a Barded Nightmare, Honor or Death won't be nearly as valuable, because the value of this is the Disciple of Abarash, the massive amount of missile and physical resistance that it gives, which when you're on a dragon mount is really helpful. But when you're on foot or on a regular mount, it's not nearly as such, or much. So I'll think about it. For now, Deadly Blade for you, Flow of Battle for you, and might as well go Blade Shield, and then Necro, sir. You're also a Witherer, right? Wind of Death, Curse of Years, might as well max out his casting capabilities. Dance Macabre, and Organize does nothing for us, but Onslaught will, so we'll go through Onslaught. And I'll leave Gaze of Nagash for last, because it's somewhat unlikely that I'll ever use it. Once again, I just don't find it an efficient spell. Anyway, alright, just generally my opinion of Magic is, ooh, that's a lot of depth guard. Oh, I'm so jealous. They have the big crabby boys, and they have the depth guard. We want those in our armies, but they're all tier 5. Even though depth guard are tier 4 units, they need a tier 5 building to be built. We're running Leviathan. Soon, my pretties. Anyway, we're gonna fight this. I think the auto-resolve is somewhat lying about the chances here. Most of our army is Graveguard, unbuffed Graveguard, and zombies. And I'm interested to see Depth Guard versus Blood Dragon Warriors. Go. Alrighty, here we go, another fight and a Skull Island. Who knows, maybe we'll finally get that materials at sea for us. Blood Dragons and Blood Knights are ready to clash with enemy Depth Guard, and I'm interested to see how that particular contest will go. We also have a lot of Cav in this army, for obvious reasons, that will eventually replace with Scarlet Knights and Blood Knights, but the Black Knights will serve for now and will be led by the White King until they're replaced. I do have a Rotting Leviathan in here, as well as a fair bit of range, so we do have to watch out for armor-piercing damage into our Knights. I guess from the Depth Guard with the Halberds as well. And speaking of Depth Guard with Halberds, probably the toughest unit for the Blood Knights to face off against here, so what are we going to do? We're going to charge them directly, but together with our Lord, and see how these Depth Guard with their halberds can take a charge. They will leap up into the air, the lances come down, and we will send them flying back with a very nice charge right through them. And of course these Scarlet Knights, looking fantastic as they do follow suit. Nice charge, takes about 20% of the HP off a unit of halberds, which is pretty solid, and as they get up, they're going to get hit with those lancers. Great swords of the Scarlet Knights will also come down on the twin axes of the Depth Guard. Too bad we can't get these guys to join us, as opposed to waiting for our allies to hit tier 5 so we can build them, but all good. Alright, and it looks like the Blood Knights have pretty much destroyed the Depth Guard and the Scarlet Knights as well, but we have the favorable matchup there with all the armor piercing. It's going to get a little bit tougher on the right flank, as we also have the Depth Guard with polearms, and they're fighting about even with the unit of Black Knights while the White King is supporting them, and they're getting hit in the back. Over here, however, we have another little contest. Twin axes Depth Guard versus Blood Dragon Warriors. We're going to move them out of the main line just so that they can fight the Depth Guard alone here, mostly because I'm curious. And it's Sword and Board versus Twin Axes, which is an interesting matchup. The enemy is an infantry blender-style unit, and an SFO, they are quite a bit stronger. 97 weapon strength on these guys, and decent armor piercing, plus fast attacks, whereas we have similar sort of weapon strength, a little bit weaker. We have, let's just see here, yeah, well, our Blood Dragon Warriors are a little bit more defensive-minded. They are, however, taking a lot of damage. We also have only 40 units, and the enemy Depth Guard have 60, despite the fact that they have stronger weapon strength, which means it makes sense why we're taking a little bit more damage. We're going to need to heal these guys up. Of course, they're not buffed to their final level, and they're meant to sort of hold the ground for the Vampire Warriors, but very nice work from the Depth Guard. We have to back these guys up and heal them up, or at the very least allow the zombies to take some of the hits. The enemy's left flank rather has at this point, however, collapsed as all the Depth Guard get destroyed by the Scarlet Knights and Blood Knights, and our Lord heads directly to dueling the enemy Rotting Leviathan. He's a Blood Dragon after all, gotta find the biggest beastie to be fighting with on field. Time for the rest of our army to join the fray as well. They've mostly just been sitting around watching and enjoying the action between the Blood Knights and the Blood Dragons versus the Depth Guard. But it's time to take the battle a little bit more seriously. Zombies and Graveguard and the rest of our Blood Dragon Warriors, our foot, will move forward and continue fighting those Depth Guard, who, while they can certainly mince infantry, there's too many zombies for them to mince. And the Blood Dragon Warriors will bring them down. The right flank is having a little bit of a tougher time. We finally pretty much destroyed this unit of Depth Guard with polearms, but it looks like one of the Black Knights, both the Black Knights are below half HP, and one of them is melting away, which does make sense. Depth Guard with polearms versus a Tier 2 cavalry unit is always going to go in their favor. Anyway, rest of our army rushes forward now. We've got our Lord still dueling that big beastie, and we'll probably continue doing so for a while. In fact, after he's had a little bit of fun, we'll just send the Blood Knights in to surround and help him out. Not that I think he needs help. Eventually the big beastie would have gone down. It's just taking absolute ages to do it this way because there's a lot of HP to work through. Enemy will use a tide call through the blob of our zombies, knocking them all down together with some of the Graveguard, but it does fairly little damage to the Graveguard, and we hardly care about the zombies. The rest of the enemy army is pretty much done for. Now that the Blood Knights are attacking the Rotting Leviathan, it is pretty much gone, and only a matter of seconds until it gets brought down for good. Until it gets brought down for good. There you go. Second time's the charm, I guess. Still a few zombie halberds fighting. Deckhands mob. But now they're going to get charged by the Blood Knights, and they'll melt away rather quickly. There we go. Hellsteed helping out nicely. Still haven't decided what mount we're going to use in this particular army. I really do like the twin blades of the Blood Dragon Lords as well. I'm probably going to put the Red Duke on a Hellsteed, and then we'll have 3 Blood Dragon Lords, so one on foot, one on a dragon, and then one on a regular Barded Nightmare, as opposed to the Hellsteed. There we go. Anyway, with that, the battle is ours. The Depth Guard have returned to their watery graves, and, well, we'll try to resurrect them and get them on our team as soon as we can. Alright, really fun, and I was quite impressed with the Depth Guard there. Certainly very threatening to the Blood Dragon Warriors on foot, though the Blood Dragon, the Blood Knights, the Lost Crusaders in particular here, did crush the Depth Guard. The Scarlet Knights struggled a little bit more, but still managed to do it, so gotta be a little bit more careful with the foot and Blood Dragon Warriors, as they don't have that, I guess, big old charge bonus to rely upon, or their mass, etc, etc, etc. Good job to the Depth Guard. They will make a worthy addition to Walakarkin's army. We will I guess heal up to full, we're about to land, and... I mean, I guess technically we do replenish in... We do replenish in enemy territory right now, don't we? But I always wonder, does this end... at the end of the turn, or does it end when the new turn starts? Will we still suffer attrition or not? That'll be an interesting thing to see. No, just replenish this or heal up just in case. Alright, now more importantly, come on, materials, let's see. What are we gonna get here? Raise it dead and nothing. Damn. I mean, yeah, we got 20,000 gold, but yeah. Not quite what we wanted, admittedly. Frederick von Carlsbrook. I guess you can stay here. I sincerely doubt that Abyss is going to attack you, but we can start from this direction and attack the Ultra Facades with the army there, and we'll see if these guys do anything about it. Go in march stance, and if you get ambushed, you get ambushed.
Follow me.
And we'll find out. Should be pretty fun from both sides. Slaaneshi Giggle, appropriate Slaaneshi Giggle since we're attacking the Slaaneshi. We'll level you up after. I'm just going to assume that they won't declare war on you and suddenly attack you. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And then I'll suffer for it. Recruiter, you've recruited the 2 Blood Dragon warriors that are supposed to be added to this particular army. And then you will now travel southward to bring them where they need to go. Would be nice to have wait, did I ever get a Mortis engine for you? I didn't, did I? No, I didn't. We got the other Scarlet Knights and the Blood Knights in tow, but not the Mortis engine. Alright, let's proceed down here. Gotta transfer those to the army. Gotta keep the zombies in there, because they cost us 7 upkeep at the current time. You need to also travel southward. All the recruiters going south, I guess. I'm bringing things where they need to be. I should rename them to troop trains or whatever. Troop train, troop ferry, etc., etc. Unfortunately, we can't get any closer to banning the Fabricator here, so Elvira, you're gonna have to sit... You know what? Don't sit here. You're going to start fighting the Chaos Dwarfs. Start moving this way. Oh, wait, actually, you are gonna have to sit here for 1 turn, because I'm gonna give you one of these lanterns, so just sit there. And Recruiter... You stay with them. Maybe we'll even have Elvira escort you northward. At least this way you're unlikely to get killed. Gorsty, you could attack Moreka's Stormbreaker. The relatively small army that we got here. Frankly, we should probably get Mikkel the Bodybuilder out to sea, just in case, so that he doesn't suffer attrition, or that he doesn't spread this plague. And it is an attrition plague, but we're immune to attrition for 1 more turn. Haha, that worked out well. You can't reach us at Pig Barter, can you? And the Golden Order is not pushing towards us as yet? Okay, well, you know, go out to sea. It's just safer this way.
Moving.
And then you can land afterwards. There we go. Gotta do the plague ship thing sometimes. Melchior, you can reach this, which means we will pop you into this army. I don't want to get rid of any of the zombies. Do we have sufficient doggos here? Let me see what we have here. We have room for 13 units. Nope. Not 13 units, 12 units, because we need a vampire in here. So 5 of those will be the Vargulfs. Maybe 6. And if it's 6, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly the amount of doggos that we need. Fine. Get rid of the lower leveled zombie and then we'll replace it with another zombie. I was going to transfer these Black Knights to Mikkel, but you know what? We can take some of the zombies back anyway. Alright, let's do this. Let's declare war on these guys. It was always going to happen. They're not going to become our vassals, that's for sure. They're at war with the Bone Rattlers, but once they're dead, they'll be at war with nobody. Declare war. I wonder where Drazuath is, because use of the Flames of Asgore will be very threatening to our zombies. Yes. Alright, and Gorsty, you are going to switch to Vampiric Channeling. You will also... need to start moving towards Legions of the Dead now, don't we? Well, you could use Evasion. It's only when you're losing melee combat, but you could zip out of there if you need. Anything else that we're going to have in your army? I still haven't decided as to whether we keep some Vargulfs in here or we get some Mortis engines. That's great, let's get the Carriages of Death. Because who knows if we'll ever be able to get Rotting Leviathans. There's no guarantee that the AI will be able to research them before the campaign is over. I'm hoping that it will, but I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't risk it. Anyway, Melchior. Go. And then hit this. And I'm not going to level up. Do we need to bother fighting this? Ooh. Dreadquake batteries. Well, those would certainly hurt our zombies. We haven't fought these guys yet. It'll be a minor battle, but by virtue of the fact that it's mostly goblin laborers, that should keep it reasonably fun. Let's do it. Screaming Banner on, I'm going to say one of these supporting necros. Once again, I wish we had two, but we can pop in a third necro with a Balefire Corpse Guard. Not auto-resolve, fight one more time.
The gift of undeath.
Alright, here we go. I'm very curious to see, even if it's a small fight, whether Gorst's super zombies can tank a Dreadquake mortar barrages, and not the unit, but the army-bound ability that we have no choice but having to deal with here. Up to 34 speed on the zombies now. I really could use Tretch's defeat trade, but I don't think we'll be able to get to him in time before he's destroyed, but I guess we'll see. Either way, we head forward to the zombie pile, and they are going to clash with the enemy goblin laborers, and of course the zombies should be able to deal with the laborers, no problem. Enemy's gonna send a few spells our way, and there it is, the Dreadquake mortar barrage is coming on our left flank. The Lamasu comes down, and the Dreadquakes fall from the sky to smash into our zombie ranks. There we go, and of course they destroy the droves of goblin laborers below. Let's see how that does. Ooh. Alright, so we're down to 10% HP, and of course the aftershock is... Oh, we're still dropping. Oh, we're at like 5% HP. Come on. Alright, and here come the heals. We got the regular invocation of Nehek on them now. There's the upgraded invocation of Nehek. We are crumbling, and the HP is climbing once again. Can the zombies win it? If we move away, we'll be a little bit safer from the enemies, but we won't be able to activate the Ravenous Dead healing via melee. Alright, we're up to 4,000 HP now again. Come on, come on. Yes, it's climbing again. Back off, and as soon as these invocations are done, we'll send another their way. They are no longer crumbling. Oh, and the enemy hit them with the withering as well. Ouch. Alright, and it looks like they're fine. We'll send them back into melee. They're at 50% of their HP, and we'll get them healed again. Of course, we don't have to. We don't care if a single unit of zombies dies, though this is a named unit. It's the Rob zombies that got hit by that Dreadquake. But we're okay. Otherwise, elsewhere on the battle line, all of the poor little goblin laborers have been overrun by the zombie hordes. Over on the left flank, our doggos are chasing enemies around. Our black knights are facing off against the enemy plague toads of Nurgle, and quite well at it, as the plague toads are just about done over on that flank as well. Of course, the more heavy enemy units, the Chaos Dwarf Warriors and the Infernal Guard, are going to take a little bit longer to deal with, but I'm sure we'll deal. Enemy Lamasu and enemy Great Taurus are both just about done. The Vargulf brings down the Taurus, and the Lamasu is at half HP as well. There is a potential reason to keep a couple of Vargulfs in Gorst's army as well, because Vargulfs do provide the bolstered attack, plus 5 melee attack, and a little bit of extra damage, so they've got potential. Anyway, the Black Knights have destroyed the Toads, but they've done basically no damage to the enemy Infernal Guard, though they are looking pretty cool while they do so. This is kind of a perfect sort of lighting for the Black Knights to look fantastic, and just dark enough so that their balefire looks great, but also light enough so that you can actually see the units themselves and not just the silhouettes. And obviously this is Lances and Barding units, so they're not going to really deal with the Infernal Guard very well as well in a direct melee confrontation. Enemy Lord has been surrounded and pretty much destroyed by the Vargulfs as well, in a similar way to the other elites, the Great Taurus and the Lamasu. In a funny way, this army has been like a Chaos Dwarf equivalent to our army, isn't it? To Gorst's army. The Goblin Laborers in place of the Zombies, and then the Lamasu and the Great Taurus in place of the Vargulfs. It's essentially exactly the same army, just from a different faction, which is kind of neat. Anyway, what's not so neat, at least not so neat for the Black Knights and possibly the units of Infernal Guard, is the fact that another Dreadquake mortar barrage will come down, smashing into those Infernal Guard and taking about half of their HP, but we did move at least some distance away with the Black Knights before they hit, and while we did get clipped for about 40%, we're still okay, and we'll heal them right back up. That one we obviously actually wanted to dodge, unlike the zombie one, because I was very curious about that one. Anyway, seeing that the mortar barrage has failed, it looks like the Infernal Guard give up, and so does the rest of the army. The Lord gets brought down, at last cut down by our White King. I'll put another one in this army as well. And the reason I want a couple of White Kings is to get some fire resistance on Gorst's zombies. His zombies are supposed to be the tankiest, so we'll damn well make them the tankiest zombies we can. Anyway, I believe the enemy's in march stance, so there is no real need to run the enemy down. Just a few more heals on the Black Knights to recover the units that were lost to the Dreadquake barrage. Alrighty, a nice little fight, and now we know that our zombies can just barely, with 10% of their HP, survive a Dreadquake barrage. They were disintegrating, they had lost almost all their number, and then bam, Invocation of Nehek, upgraded Invocation of Nehek, and Curse of Undeath, and more Invocations of Nehek, and we allowed the Rob zombies to survive. And while fighting, they were able to do 15k damage. Huh, I guess, what's way more than all the other zombies. I guess they were really, sort of empowered by getting hit with the Dreadquake. Go figure. Go figure. Gorsty got 20k damage and plenty of kills, but, this is kind of an ideal fight for him against blobs of weaker units. Anyway, that's destroyed, so we'll return the captives. And I do believe we are out of time. There's probably some admin to do, and I will do it between the episodes as much as I can. We already had a ton of battles. You know what? This is a waste of our time. We can find better battles than this. It's not going to be much different from the battle that we just fought, and we'll let these guys do their thing. Ludwig, you can also try to move towards Stone Mine Tower. I wonder if these guys would, while you're in march stance, attempt to attack you. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, I love playing Vamp so much that I just can't stop, so I gotta stop myself or I'll keep playing forever and just marathon like a freaking 30-hour campaign in a single episode and then take 3 weeks to upload it because my internet's terrible. But anyway, yeah, calling it here. Next time, more fights, more everything. Vamps, love them. If you love them too, don't forget to leave those likes and comments below to threshold for the hour-long episodes. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.